Friday in Foxborough, Patriots back on the practice field for the third straight day of what was essentially extended OTAs. They're going to get a day off tomorrow before returning to the practice field on Sunday. We are expecting the pads to go on Monday. Real football will begin, but there was plenty for us to glean. Was there not, Phil, from the first 3 days?
There was. This is an extension of passing camp, Tom, but it doesn't mean that there weren't competitive periods here. All red zone, all the time. The Patriots were the worst red zone offense in all of football last year, so it makes sense that that would be their focus. A lot of two tight end sets, some schematic things that we saw that are going to be indicative of changes that we see under Bill O'Brien versus last year's offense, Tom. Lots to take away from these last 3 days.
Lots to take away and a lot to look forward to. We'll talk more about the rookies and the impact of Christian Gonzalez that we are seeing shine through already. Also comments from Bill Belichick on just how encouraged he is by this rookie class. But one of the main developments on Friday was the fact that Matthew Judon went from a very limited participant to an individual who's taking part in team drills a little bit more often. Now, it was speculated that Judon, who's very well compensated, but not compared to some of his peers, might be engaged in a pseudo hold-in. What better way to find out than to go to the source? We asked Judon. Here's what he had to say.
I'm happy to be here, man. I'm definitely not going to talk about contracts with y'all. Y'all some snitches. But I'm happy that I'm here. I'm happy that I'm a Patriot. And then wherever that goes, it goes. The market changes every day. We've seen it the first day of training camp. A whole bunch of people got paid. The market changed every day. But I would not talk about contract with y'all.
You said you'd like to finish your career here. I was wondering, back that and why? What are the reasons why you'd like that to happen?
Well, I think first of all, it's y'all. You know, I get to come once a week, banter with y'all, joke around with y'all, but I think most importantly, it's my comfort. Everything has made it to where I feel like I want to stay here for the rest of my career. But if that's not in the cards, that's not in the cards. I felt like that when I was a rookie. I felt like that my 5th year, but that wasn't in the cards for me. And I don't get to choose that. I just get to tell y'all how I feel.
Growth Potential, brought to you by Dr. Matthew Lepresti. Look younger, feel younger, get your damn hair back with Leonard Hair Transplant Associates. Matthew Judon would like to see some growth in his salary, and here's why. 8 edge rushers are making at least $20 million a year. Judon ranks 20th in the NFL with an average annual value of $13.6 million. He was asked earlier today if he was happy with his contract, and then after the answer provided, we saw Asante Samuel jump over the top, based on Phil's question, and say, let's see how much Matthew Judon likes Bill Belichick now that his money's in question. And Judon said, he will forever be my guy. Don't let that money affect my emotions, Asante. So this, Phil, sounds like a non or even a pseudo hold-in and a very amicable discussion about what can we do to give me a bump. How do you think this continues to play out?
Well, why is it not a hold-in? It's not a hold-in because he has been participating, and he participated at his highest level today. He is still limited, though. He played in about 5 or 6 team snaps in 11-on-11 competitive periods today. That was a bump from days 1 and 2 of camp. But even on days 1 and 2, he was out there doing some conditioning work, doing some positional drills. So he has been on the field. He has been taking part in some of the proceedings. But, Tom, he is interested in getting an adjustment to his contract. As I reported this morning, that number that we just showed you at the start of the segment, just a shade under $14 million when you have that many people making 20, and you have some players like Alex Highsmith and Uchenna Nwosu, Tom, who I'm willing to bet a large percentage of our audience has never heard of before, are making more money per year than Matthew Judon, who's one of the best pass rushers in the league and most productive. It makes sense that he would be interested in a bump.
Now, you guys have heard us have these conversations before. A contract's a contract, and even if the market rises, a player has signed the contract, he agrees to a certain amount. Judon's contract doesn't expire until 2025, but as we've seen with the NFL salary cap, it has really skyrocketed so much. Additionally, the Patriots are not paying a quarterback top dollar right now. They're not in the $30 million range, the $40 million, the $50 million range. They're paying Mac Jones $2 million in salary this year. They have a crap ton of cap space this year. They have a crap ton of cap space next year. Judon is the highest paid player in that locker room, which I think is part of the reason. He's a very good teammate, where he's not sitting there saying, pay me more, because the other guys will be looking at him like, you're already making more than everybody else. Let's settle it down a little bit. All that said, would you, if you were Bill Belichick, find a way to get him more in line? And are there any comps out there for doing that?
Yes, I would, because you have the money available to you, because he is worth it, and because, again, this gets to the locker room point as well. While maybe teammates wouldn't love to hear any other teammate complaining about their contract when they're the highest paid guy in the room, I think even they would argue when you look at the market, that ever-changing market, as Matt Judon described it to us today, he is underpaid, and so they would understand it as well, I'm sure. The example that the Patriots could work off of when it comes to a solution here just occurred earlier this week. Trey Hendrickson with Cincinnati in the same offseason that Judon signed with the Patriots, signed with the Bengals, 4 years, $60 million. Judon's deal, Tom, was 4 years, about $55 million. The Bengals just gave Hendrickson a $21 million extension that will take him in Cincinnati through 2025. So can the Patriots do something like that? Give him a little bit of an extension, even just a one-year extension with a significant pay raise. It raises that average annual value. It puts money in Judon's pocket. Everyone should be happy with something like that, in my opinion.
And there's the opportunity to do that. Now, this is Training Camp Central, and I'm sure a lot of you viewers are tuning in and saying, look, tell me about the team, tell me about the football. Why is it pertinent that Matthew Judon's contract be squared away, and how does it relate to the number of contracts that are up? Josh Uche, the opposite edge rusher, he could command $15, $16 million average annual value if he hits the market. Mike Onwenu, very highly rated guard. We can go down. Kyle Duggar is another one. Should you prioritize Judon? And what would his impact be if this turns south and the Patriots just stonewalled?
Well, you should, because you still need core pieces over the course of the next few years here. If you look at the Patriots roster for 2024, there aren't a whole lot of guys that are actually under contract. Now, Judon is one of them, but you'd want to make sure that he's here, he's happy, and that he is one of these foundational players, Tom, who can help set the example for the younger players coming up behind him, whoever they may be. This guy works hard. He brings a lot of energy to work every day. The fans at training camp are able to see that. He's working out in the weight room after night games at Gillette Stadium, Tom. He does everything that Bill Belichick wants from his players in this program. The kind of guy, in my opinion, again, you would want to reward.
And that's where there's kind of a schism between what we expect and what the Patriots do. Jacoby Myers would have seemed ideally like a player that you would want to reward. David Andrews, Lawrence Guy, those are players who the Patriots have kind of strung along and then signed to lower contracts than initially offered once they came back and found the market wasn't there for them. So you look at the point that you make of going forward, who's your core? We're going to get into that a little bit with the recent draft choices that were made and the core that could be developing. But if you look at Judon, if you look at Duggar, Bentley, perhaps Uche, Dietrich Wise, Mac Jones, these are guys who there's very much a level of uncertainty about, will they be here in 2027, 2028, 2029? It's the middle of the decade right now. The Patriots should be planning and trying to move their program forward, I think.
And they have so much financial flexibility, Tom, when it comes to cap space for next year, when it comes to cash spent this year and scheduled to be spent, next year. They have the money to be able to take care of some of these things you're talking about. It would surprise me if they don't start to tick off some of these boxes before we get to the regular season.
Same with me. Matt Gross said the other day, I like to get things done. I'm a business guy.